when I gave up my nighttime snacking. And guys, it was a lot. Like if I look back, I think about how far I've come, and I've seen it in people over and over and over again, how far it is possible to go when you will work through change, and change is not linear. You kick the table on that road. But that was when it really started to accelerate for me, was when I was able to take that experience of the pain of kicking the table and insert it before I actually kicked the table. Hey, Adam, I have a question for you today. Have you ever kicked a table so hard you've broken your toe?
Yes. And the worst part is you do it and it's like it hurts so much you're not even making noise after. You're just like, it's like a silent cry.
I know, and God forbid anybody be around, right? Like your kids are watching, you're trying to hold it together and not say all the worst words in the world, right?
Oh yeah, I let it out. I just got to let it out when that happens. But sometimes it hurts so much nothing comes out of my mouth.
No offense, I kind of want to see it. Like, invite me over sometime and kick a table. I got to witness this. No, okay. So listen, I think probably everybody listening or watching has had that experience, right? Like, it's the worst. And don't you feel like it's like the day you do that, if you start out doing that, don't you feel like you kick a table like 1,000 times that day?
Wait, that's
like an elbow.
Yes. That's also like when you bite your lip or you bite your tongue eating. I feel like no matter what, I wind up doing it more and more because I feel like it gets a little swollen. And it's not the first one that absolutely kills. It's the second or third one. And then I'm just like, all right, I'm done. I don't know what to do. I cannot. It hurts so much.
No, just go to bed.
Yeah.
Just go to bed. Even if it's like 1:30 in the afternoon.
Yep.
It's all set.
Yep.
You're done for the day.
Yes.
No, I agree. And the point of the swelling, I think that's a good point because, and I promise, guys, stay with us here. This is all going to make a lot of sense. But the swelling, if you hit your knee on something, right? Like, I feel like it sticks out more. You must hit it on 1,000 things from that point on.
Yes. All
right. So now that we've covered that, everybody has it in their minds what it feels like to kick a table or to kick a chair or to bang their elbow or bite their lip. Now, let's talk about this as an analogy. And the reason I'm bringing this up is a lot of people really struggle with the idea that change means kicking the table, sometimes a lot along the way, and then eventually not that much. So here's the deal. I've had a few clients lately working their tails off. I'm telling you, like, Adam, you would be so impressed. Just really making significant strides in their health practices, their lifestyles, making progress, with their body changes, things like that.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's great. But, they get really disheartened from time to time because it's like, I did the thing. I messed up. I did the thing. And we talked about mess ups, a couple of weeks ago. We talked about all that chatter that comes along with it as well. And they get so down. And it's like, like you say, here I go again.
Here I go again. Next time, cheer yourself when you do well. It's like, we're so hardwired to only notice when we mess up and make mistakes. It's tricky. Anyway.
I know. But the point of this video today, what everybody needs to drill into their brains is you are going to kick that table. Not just once or twice along the path to change, many times. And there is a very needed reason for that, even though it hurts like hell. So the analogy is you're doing well, right? You've got let's imagine your house is set up really nice. You've got clear spaces to walk through. Everything is kind of running ship shape. And then one day you're just cruising along, you kick the hell out of that table and boy, it hurts, right? It hurts and you think, why don't I move that table? Or why didn't I move that chair, right? First of all, as you said, let's celebrate that you even bothered to stop and ask yourself that question. Because a lot of us just kick that table and keep going. We curse and we move along, right, Adam?
Yes. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, But the thing is I think it gets really frustrating for us in the process of change. Like, why do we keep kicking the table? So in my head, here's the deal. We have to be reminded of that pain for a while in order to stick with the behavior changes long enough for them to become habit, for them to become real, right? Have you experienced this in your own life, or do you have any stories you want to share that align with this?
Yeah, I mean, first off, there's no doubt that disgust or discomfort is will yield change, right? When you feel bad or you have this really strong negative feeling, that inspires action. When it moves to contentment or, good enough, that doesn't usually yield change. So I think we need to flip it and be grateful for these moments of, kicking the table, because that can inspire a lot of change, right? Most people aren't changing. It's like people are, they have a bad breakup or whatever it might be. Then it's like they go through all this amazing growth and then they become so grateful for the breakup because it inspired all this change. But it's also, you can also try to work on that growth when things are good, but it's harder because you're not feeling disgust, you're not feeling hurt, you're not feeling these negative feelings. So I think first
Right.
off, we need to be grateful for it. But it also,
I agree.
it reminds me of, this story of, should I tell the Dwight Howard story?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I liked it
Okay.
mainly because Hakeem Olajuwon got thrown in there, and I really like him.
Houston.
If you're out there, Hakeem, I like you.
So Dwight Howard played for the Orlando Magic. He played for a bunch of other teams after, but he was at his heyday on Orlando Magic. He was a center, and Hakeem Olajuwon played many years ago for the Houston Rockets. He was, one of the best centers ever, and he was known for his elite footwork. Like, he actually was a soccer player for many years, and then he changed to basketball. And like, his footwork, the way he could make moves was incredible. And once he retired, he started training he would train current NBA players on his footwork because it was just so good. He would charge like $50,000 for 2 or 3 days. They would go to his place in Houston, and Dwight Howard had worked with him in the off season one year. And that first season he came back, in the very beginning of it, you can tell he was using his footwork. He was using these new moves. And it was incredible because Dwight Howard was known as this really strong guy. He would just kind of use his muscle and his brute force to get a basket in. But in the beginning of the season, he was using this footwork. But then slowly, as the season was going along, he started going back to his old habits. He started just using his body, using his strength to just like dunk over people. But the problem was that with that was, as Dwight got older, he couldn't rely on that anymore. But he never developed any like footwork, right? So once he lost his strength, once he lost his jumping ability, he didn't really have anything in his bag, as they say. Like, a bag is like your tricks, your moves. He didn't have a deep bag, right? He didn't have these skills to fall back on. So his career kind of got cut short, and he was kind of became this journeyman of going from NBA team to NBA team. Whereas if he stuck with that discomfort of working on those skills and working on that footwork, even though it might have not been as easy as just jumping over or using his strength, he would have had a much longer career, right? And it reminds me of, with people in their health and fitness journey when they're trying to lose weight, in this case, the practicing the elite footwork is, practicing like behaviors, like pausing before you eat, being in tune with your body, all sorts of things that are behavioral driven that will last. Whereas using your brute strength and force is relying on just calorie counting or just really restricting. And sure, that might work in the short term, but it very quickly doesn't work anymore, right? As we know.
Mm-hmm.
So if he had just stuck
Mm-hmm.
with that, then, he would have had a much longer career. If people stuck with that, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So the big takeaway was poor Dwight just kept kicking the table.
Yes.
And once he kicked it again after his footwork sessions, he didn't do all the things we encourage people to do, which is, okay, let's stop, let's think about why this is happening and what can I do to maybe not kick the table next time. And then my second takeaway from this story is, if you're gonna be a professional basketball player, train as a soccer player first. Yes?
No
Did I get it
doubt.
right?
I mean, that certainly can help.
No, sorry. I just had to throw that in there. Anybody who's out there really aspiring to become an amazing basketball player, I think Adam Gilbert has just delivered to us the secret sauce. Anyway, in all seriousness, I think that's a tough thing. Like, if we're going to put it in terms of perhaps people who have done a lot of dieting in their lives, right? It's really, really hard when you have such a compelling outcome as restrictive dieting can sometimes offer, right? Like, it's fast, it's sure, we're going to feel good in the moment because we know how hard we're working and we can see the outcomes really, really quickly. And that's super compelling. Long-term change, that is not compelling all that much, right? Like it takes so long. You're just like, oh my God, am I ever going to get there? Like,
Right.
and so you're up against a lot of things. But I think the thing to know is if you'll just plow forward with the change, it actually comes very quickly. You'll stop kicking the table as frequently. Like, right? Like he got blinded by the light of his former success as a brute force on the court. And the second he got a taste of that again, it was just too much. And he thought, I don't need all this fancy, tedious work of long-term change. I'm just going to go back to what I was doing.
Right.
Is that right?
Exactly right. It's like better the devil you know. It's like, we all have friends or had friends that were in relationships and, it was a terrible relationship for them. Like, you just know, like, it was very clear. Mm-hmm. And that person, if they were looking at someone else's relationship of their own relationship, they'd be like, that's terrible. But for some reason, because they're in it, they can't see any differently. You could tell your friend it's, they're a terrible partner for you, whatever. You probably wouldn't say that, but like, they don't realize that until they're out of it. And it's just one of those things. You go back to the relationship, it feels good for a little bit, but then the same old patterns emerge, right? And you kind of go back to what you were doing. And that's the tricky part, is working through that initial discomfort.
So somebody might be listening and thinking, okay, well, how do we eventually stop kicking the table, right? Like, okay, I kick the table, I experience pain. I kick the table, I experience pain or discomfort, and I'm aware of this. So the next big step in affecting change, true change that lasts, is then being able, and this is going to sound weird, to sort of mentally and viscerally experience the pain before you kick the table.
Mm-hmm.
And it might look something like, I was telling you earlier, when I gave up my nighttime snacking. And guys, it was a lot. Like, if I look back, I think about how far I've come, and I've seen it in people over and over and over again, how far it is possible to go when you will work through change. And change is not linear. You kick the table on that road. But that was when it really started to accelerate for me, was when I was able to take that experience of the pain of kicking the table and insert it before I actually kicked the table. And then I had a choice. I didn't have to experience it. I didn't have to go through it. Sometimes I still did. Sometimes I was like, yeah, I know I'm going to kick the table. It's going to hurt like hell. Right?
Yeah.
But I did that less and less. And so that's why I think this pain is such a powerful tool. Why I think kicking the table has to occur on the path to change. Because if you don't do it, you're not learning why you don't want to do it anymore. And then you're not able to apply why you don't want to do it anymore before you do it again. Is that clear?
It is clear.
No.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think you have to, taking a pause before you act, which in itself is such a powerful practice, and hopefully it becomes a habit, and thinking how it's going to make you feel is really powerful. And on the flip side, when there's something I want to do that I don't necessarily feel like doing, maybe like going for a walk, I think about how good I'm going to feel afterward. And I really try to, imagine myself like how satisfied I'm going to feel, how accomplished I'm going to feel, how energized I'm going to feel. So I think that practice of thinking about how it's going to make you feel either negatively or positively is really powerful. And that starts, again, with a simple pause, right? And just really giving yourself the separation between your actions or between your impulses and actions.
Yeah. Forecasting. I like to call that forecasting.
Yeah.
Right? Like in that pause, let's put out a forecast. If I choose this action, this is likely what I'm going to experience. If I choose this action, this is what I'll experience. And also, like, give yourself a timeline on those things too, right? Because eating my nighttime snack, I could forecast I was going to feel good while I was doing it.
Yeah.
And then I could forecast what came after. Not so good. And then the next morning I was always like, what? Why?
Right.
Why did I do this? Right? Whereas I might forecast, okay, if I choose not to, I'm going to feel uncomfortable. I'm going to feel that itch, right? Like that thing inside that's trying to claw out. I'm going to feel that. I have ways of coping with that, dealing with that, sitting with that, and I'm fine. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to feel really good that I chose not to act on that. And I think the forecasting piece is when you know you're really in position to make sustainable, everlasting change.
Yeah, that's really powerful. I think that we're often trading, we don't want to deal with short-term discomfort, so we give in, and then there's a deep discomfort that lasts a lot longer. Versus if we deal with a little short-term discomfort, we often feel very satisfied, very accomplished for a lot longer. So it's really just dealing or deciding how you want to deal with the discomfort. And again, like, discomfort always gets such a bad rap. It just means we're doing something differently. We're doing what we, our short-term irrational mind doesn't want to do, maybe, right?
Right.
So that's a really powerful way to think about it. And also, I always remind myself, like, something that feels good in the moment that ultimately feels bad is something that makes me feel bad, right? So like eating chocolate cookies or chips or whatever it might be, sure, it feels good in the moment, but I wind up feeling bad afterwards. So is that really making me feel good? And on the flip side, if it doesn't necessarily feel good in the moment, maybe exercise or whatever it might be, but I feel awesome afterward, it's something that does make me feel good.
Yes, exactly. All right, so let's sum it up. Everybody kicks a table on the path to change multiple times. There is rarely lightning bolt change in our lives. Rarely, right? Like, if you've experienced lightning bolt change, congratulations. You're a rare breed.
Yeah. And just a quick thought on that. Lightning bolt change often, if it's going to happen, happens with a very severe thing like a heart attack, right? So the day my father had a heart attack, he's quit smoking. He was a lifelong smoker, or smoked whatever for basically his whole life. Was smoking 2 packs a day. He had his heart attack. He never smoked a cigarette a day. And ideally, you don't. That just it's very hard to get to that point of desire for change.
Yeah. Everybody else has to walk through the house and kick the table, right? And don't beat yourself up. We need it. We need you to kick the table so that you can experience that pain and choose change versus complacency and staying the same. So kick the table, feel the pain, remember the pain, forecast. Those are the steps. Oh, and get soccer training.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Anything else? That's it. Soccer training, ladder training, cone training.
Yes,
it's all good.
Exactly.
All right. Anything else, Adam?
I think that's it. Yeah. And look at kicking the table as a powerful thing, and reframe it as something that is helping you get to where you want to be. It is necessary for change, and it is helpful. It's a guide.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, because you can also track how frequently you kick the table. And you'll notice if you stick it out, you kick it less and less and less intensely.
Yep.
Your kicks will get lighter because you'll kind of see it come here like, oh, I'm going to kick it. I'm just not going to kick it as hard this time.
Yes, exactly.
All right, guys. Well, if you find yourself kicking the table, email us. Let us know. Let us know what it feels like. Let us know if you can apply any of this. Or are you kicking the table less? Did you move the table out of your house? Did you set it on fire? Don't set it on fire. It could be used as a picnic table. All right. But as always, we'd love to hear from you, and we will look forward to seeing you next time. Take good care.